Hey guys, VenomFangX here wearing a goofy hat, and the reason I'm wearing a goofy hat is I'm having a bad hair day. Really bad. There is nothing I can do with it, so I'm going to wear a hat. And I'm going to wear it like this, or I could wear it like this. It's one of those inverting hats, but that's the best I can do for you. So if we're over the hat thing, let's get right into this. I have something to show you. Look at that. I want you to imagine you were walking around, and you just found this thing, just like that, and you looked around, and you couldn't find the person who made this thing. So you came to one of two conclusions, and I want you to come to one of two conclusions. You can conclude that this formed all by itself, or you can conclude that someone made it, even though you can't see the one who made it, because you can't see them. So which is it? Okay, so now that you've decided, what did you base that on? What did you base that on? Think about it. Did you use any scientific method to figure that out, or did you use your intuition? Did you use intelligence? You didn't use a scientific method. You see, the scientific method is things we can test, repeat, and observe. Now, you did not test, repeat, or observe the creation of this little ball of plasticine. In the same way, and I think you know where I'm going with this, you did not see the formation of planet Earth. So, science being defined by things we can test, repeat, and observe, no one ever saw the Earth get formed, we've never repeated the process, and we can't test the process. We can't do any of that. So, to claim we know how the Earth formed empirically, scientifically, just can't be done. Sorry. So, when you read in a textbook, the Earth formed 4-point-something billion years ago from a whole bunch of asteroids colliding together, yada yada yada, that's a whole bunch of baloney. You just can't know that. If you want to be scientific, now if you want to be religious and say, we think that it formed billions of years ago, all by itself, you can be religious and say that, but that is not scientific. In the same way, it would not be scientific of you just looking at this thing to tell me who made it, how long it took them to make it, or anything like that. Now, what if I told you that I made this? Would you be able to prove it? I mean, what if I had a friend make this for me? You just don't know. You're going to have to take my word for it, aren't you? Now, I'm going to tell you the truth, and you have to take my word for it. I did make this thing. You might trust me on that. You might not. But by way of personal revelation, if you have faith in what I'm telling you, I've just told you the truth, and you can believe that or not. Likewise, there happens to be an ultra-dimensional being called God who made the earth that we're sitting on, standing if you don't have a chair at your computer, and if you don't, I feel bad for you, but maybe you'll get one. Yeah, and I happen to believe him. He said he made the earth in 6 days. I believe him. Now you say, how could he have made the earth in 6 days? Well, what if I told you I made this in 6 minutes? I did. Now, how long would this take to form by chance? A few billion years? Maybe, if that, because plasticine, even though everything in plasticine is a naturally occurring element, to come together in kind of a spherical shape and look like the planet, not to mention a little white paint at the top, highly, highly unlikely. Even though this is rather simple of a thing, but this was intelligently designed. If you found this on another planet, you would conclude that this was proof of intelligent design. This little thing here. It was intelligently designed, I guarantee you. Even though it really doesn't appear to be all that intelligent. And yet it was. So, when an atheist looks at the planet and says, nah, that doesn't appear to be intelligently designed, even though it's the perfect size, the perfect shape, rotating around the sun, spinning so that it doesn't burn or get cold, it's just right to sustain life. Even though it has a moon to control the tides, it's the exact size we need the moon to be, the exact distance away, so the world doesn't flood 5 times a day. Even though there's intelligent life on the planet, they still want to say, no, that happened all by chance. Well, got news for you. If you can't believe that this rather primitive ball of plasticine happened by chance, I just can't believe that this planet happened by chance. Now you say, well, it's just mathematical probability. Well, mathematical probability can't account for this. It can't. And mathematical probability can't account for this planet. I don't care if you say, well, there's trillions of stars and suns. Well, I got an interesting question for you. If there were if there weren't trillions of stars and suns, if it was only our sun and only our planet, that was it, would you then believe in intelligent design? A lot of people would say, yeah, then that would settle the issue for me. Well, that means, and if you say yes to that question, think it over for a second, if you believe that if our sun and our earth was the only thing there and we were here, and that would prove that there was a God, because we've just eliminated probability, that means that everything you need to believe in God is already present, plus there's some extra stuff too. You know, trillions and trillions of galaxies, which, according to the Bible, simply declare the power of God, which suits me just fine. Yeah. You know, we've never seen a star or a planet form, even though the scientists like to claim they have, but they haven't. They say, well, we see something getting brighter. There's a star forming. No, that's just dust clearing in front of a star for all we know. We've never seen one form. And if you found one of these just planted in the ground with a trillion other ones planted in the ground, just like that, would you then conclude, well, there's so many of them, it just happened by chance? No. That just means, an intelligence put them there. But anyways. Yeah. I really wish I could make longer videos. There's so much I'd like to say. So much I'd like to say. You know, atheists are guilty of doing this. They look at a small part of the earth and say, that doesn't appear to be intelligently designed. Therefore, I don't believe in intelligence. And yet, that came from something that was intelligently designed. Got to look at the big picture so often. And even if, you look at the smaller picture on Earth, the smaller picture, you still see intelligence. So why is it that this unintelligent, unassuming ball of plasticine, which doesn't have life on it, is intelligently designed, and you can believe that quite easily, and yet the real planet, with intelligent life on it, you can't? I'm sorry. I just can't buy it. Oh, we still have a few minutes. Look at that. So we're at like 7 minutes and 50 seconds. So, yeah, what else do I want to talk about? Okay, check this out. So let's say, by means of probability, you believe that the laws of nature are such that over time, a planet would form by chance, even though I'm not going to buy that. But let's say you went along with that. Now, here's my real question for you. We exist in a world, a dimension of contingency. What that means is causality. Something happens that makes something else happen, so on and so forth. This is contingent upon me making it. I'm contingent upon my parents making me. Back and back and back. And eventually you need to reach something that is uncontingent, that is not based on something else. Otherwise you have an infinite regression and you'll never get to an answer. That's impossible. So that means there must be a first uncontingent cause, a necessary truth. Is it possible that that necessary truth that seems to have determined a bunch of contingency, a universe which sustained intelligent life that believed in God, is it possible that that was an ultra-dimensional being? Do you believe in alternate dimensions? Albert Einstein certainly did. Is it possible that if there are intelligent beings in this dimension, that there are intelligent beings in other dimensions? Even if you can't see them. Remember, even if you can't see them. And that's part of being in another dimension anyways. Is it possible that there is a necessary, ultra-dimensional being who we call God, who made the world? I'm inclined to say, yeah, there is. For a host of reasons. For the infinite regression, we have to come to a truth. And why is it that that truth, that necessary truth, would determine to create a universe where life, intelligent life, came about that believed in God? Seems to me there's a God. Just, throwing out that crazy idea. But, yeah. Cool, huh? So anyways, I hope this has been educational, and I hope and pray that you'll think about some of the things we've been talking about here, and really look at the world with fresh eyes and say, could there be an intelligence behind that? And if there is, what would tip me off to that? Maybe the fact that there are people on the planet who claim to have experienced that ultra-dimensional intelligence? Maybe? And remember, you can't approach this with science. Science is just not going to help you. I know that must be frustrating for a lot of you, but hey, there's more to the world than the human mind or the human scientific method. So, think outside the box. Stop being so closed-minded.